Hello everyone, welcome back to the break. This is the DBDLeague Season X semi-finals, folks, and it all comes down to this. This is the deciding moment, the deciding day between Elysium and Ariandel for the coveted spot in the grand final. As a quick recap of how things have gone, day one yesterday, all Ariandel. Clean, dominant, any word that you want to use to describe that 3-0 sweep. It looked like they had a series in the bag. I didn't even think I'd need to come here today. I was content to just sit in my bed and watch the matches go by. But then today, just now, Elysium, when their backs were against the wall, when things were looking as dire as they could have been, they clawed their way back in and they got a 3-2 victory over 6 entire maps. And now the players, they're exhausted. They're going to get a little bit of time to recuperate. But this matchup has just become a battle of wills. I am Egdar, to host the analyst desk with, again, the very capable, very clever analysts, Ratz and Zach. First of all, Ratz, I wanted to ask you, obviously, that series that we just saw, 3-2, going the distance, absolutely brutal. Were there any thoughts or anything that kind of stuck out to you that was interesting about the series?
Like, Zeno is a very capable player, as we have seen, but it's also very difficult for them to keep a momentum, and the momentum shifts in all places, but in the ones that we expect. They are confident, but like it is very difficult to keep the ball in your side of the in your park, I guess, right? It is.
Yeah.
They have shown some very good potential, but also we have seen them struggle a lot. And on the other hand, we have seen Ariandel just continue to be consistent throughout the entire 6 sets or 6 maps, as you've said, with the exception of the Ghoul, I would say. It's like the only map or the only killer that they kind of cracked on and couldn't perform as they would have liked. But that aside, I feel like the consistency is currently in Ariandel's favor, but the performance and the ability to shift the momentum around is definitely in Elysium's side.
So it's sounding like there's a big element of momentum and the mental aspect at play, and that's something that can't really be understated. Zach, would you agree that kind of momentum and the mental capacity of these teams just play so many sets for such a long time is going to be crucial in determining who gets that finals spot?
Yeah, well, I agree with what Ratz said. You know, Ariandel definitely appearing more consistent, Elysium a bit unpredictable, which I think in its own right is kind of hard to deal with from a mentality point of view too. Because when you're on the side of Ariandel, you're thinking, yeah, like we've got a good hold on this game, and then yeah, you saw some of the way those sets went. Like it's got to be kind of going through the players' minds. But yeah, I think definitely the fatigue, the mentality is going to come into play a bit further into this next best of 5. I think we've got the players having a break now. So the first 2 sets, I feel like getting a good track on these 2 initial sets that we're going to be seeing, like shape. Getting maybe a head start on these 2 sets will be really beneficial for these teams. That's what I'm thinking. Like best case scenario, to try and avoid some of that fatigue, to try and make the most of these 2 sets and push through. To get yourselves ready for when you're in the position of those really draining sets later on.
These teams are certainly they're certainly warmed up. I don't think anyone's going to be debating that point. There's no excuse for we were cold in the first couple of maps, but no, you've just played 6 very intense, very closely fought trials. Like what's your excuse? Speaking of trials, what would be a DBDLeague match without the trials and without the killers? And Ratz, this is something that you were talking about earlier, and I wanted to ask your opinion on this. So obviously, every single killer, there are no duplicates in these playoffs. So for the entirety of these 3 matches, Ariandel and Elysium have to be choosing separate killers. Now, obviously, you have some competitive experience on Night Owls. Is it the case that as we get later into the picks, the teams kind of give maybe less thought to what their picks and bans will actually be? Or do you think that they actually end up staying focused the entire time, that they're going to be well practiced on anything that they choose?
I don't think you're going to be well practiced on anything you choose, but there are, I mean, as a top team, you are definitely capable of playing basically on all killers anyways, simply because of the experience. Because the more tournaments you play, the more things and variety you're going to verse no matter what. But the further down you go that road, where you have to pick killers that you haven't seen for quite some time, you're not going to look at the killer specifically, you're going to start looking at maps. First example, first killer off the bat is Shape, right? And it's not necessarily a killer that you would see Ariandel pick on a regular basis, but if you look at it, it's played on Larry's. And
Yes.
Ariandel is notorious for their Ghostface, which got banned from Elysium, right? Shape was left alone, but it's like you look at the map, it's like, okay, Larry's is a map we're very comfortable on. It's a map that we don't think they're gonna be that strong on. Let's pick that killer, you know? And then the rest is gonna evolve around that strength that you look for. That's mainly what you're aiming at. It's not even the third map, for example, is Nurse on CT1. It's a killer that we see very often, but these teams, they both didn't want to pick that because they know that the other team is going to be capable of performing on that set. So it's not a pick they're looking for, but it's a pick they're comfortable on, and it's going to be one that's coming out for sure because neither of them banned it. Yeah, but looking at these killers, none of them are like super rare or never seen in comp. It's just they're not comfortable. They're not comfortable. Is the wrong way to saying it, but they're just like not aiming for those sets in the first 10 picks, right? They're looking
Would
at
it be fair to say that these teams? I'll ask you, Zach. Would it be fair to say that with some of these sets, the teams are going to be relying a bit more on muscle memory than they are of recent experience and like intense practice? Just kind of like their history of kind of what Ratz was saying, their history of having played these killers for such a long time.
Yeah, I think so. I think it kind of splits really because we have a Myers set which isn't really like too common, and maybe is a bit of a wild card set where maybe that muscle memory doesn't come in. It's just pure reflex and making sure you're communicating well. We have a Nurse and Artist set. Those two sets are like pretty standard. So yeah, muscle memory wise, obviously very two different sets. I think we have a big variety of sets. It's very hard to kind of pinpoint what these teams need across the board because of just the kind of play style that these sets sort of inspire. If Ratz would agree with me on that point, because we have a stealth killer, we have a kind of bottleneck map, long range 3-gen holding killer where you have to where she's anti-loop, and then you got the Nurse, which is purely dying strategically. Like there's a lot to digest, a lot of different kind of ways that they play, but I guess individually, there's muscle memory there. But yeah, I mean, I feel like as if we look at the whole matchup, the whole best of 5, that's when it becomes a bit difficult to kind of maybe see where these teams need to focus.
Yeah, Shape has only actually been picked for 2. Shape has only been picked twice in all of Season X. Compare that to some of the other killers that we're seeing, like an Artist that's been picked 15 times. Nurse also with 15. Cenobite a little lower on 7, but there's definitely a variety of experience that these teams are going to have on these killers. Ratz, I wanted to ask you, of course, a quick rundown of the killers that we're going to see, and we'll get into great detail about all of them as we load into their respective lobbies. But Shape, Artist, Nurse, Demogorgon, Cenobite. Is there any of these sets which are particularly interesting to you, whether from that a kind of competitive analysis perspective or just a fan perspective of just a set that you really want to see and you think is going to be super exciting?
I think the only set that stands out to me is actually the Shape, and the rest are actually kind of like OG sets, which is actually, in this case, a really good thing for Elysium. We have seen this in the last best of 5 on the Ghoul. They had to bring Laser as a substitute because I guess maybe there's nobody else to play, but we know that Laser hasn't been around and playing much DBD, but we have seen how consistent he still is on the sets that he's comfortable on. So seeing these killers that arguably all except Shape require the knowledge and experience more than the active scrimmages and team chemistry is actually very good for Elysium. So with the exception of Shape, as I said, where it is Larry's, you have to have really good team chemistry. You have to trust on your teammates' communications and calls on when the killer is leaving where and where he's going, and being very accurate on that. Those kind of scrims require to, those kind of killers require you to scrim actively and to keep on top of the game, to reassure the consistency that you have on that set, on that map. I've seen that with my own team, for example, where everybody kept banning Ghostless against us, and then after half a year we got to play Ghostless again, and we are completely like not prepared anymore because we haven't looked at that set anymore for over half a year, right? And you have to scrim those things.
Sorry to interrupt. Was that the clip like of you and Night Owls where someone just kind of ran into basement and then got hit?
No, that was
and
another
immediately
incident.
Oh, understood. Okay.
We were
Please
actually fresh
continue.
on that, but no, but that was just an incident.
No excuses then.
No,
Carry
it's
on,
just
yes.
yeah. For me, looking at those sets, it's really good for Elysium that now that they have Laser, looking at these sets, Artist, Nurse on CT1, like everybody that started playing comp back in the days will have scrimmed that a lot. Demogorgon, it's just okay. Maybe if he hasn't played the game actively, maybe he's a bit struggling in chases. But even that, we have seen him so well playing so well against all the other killers, and never be the reason why. Okay, he's tunneled out at 4 generators like on the Ghoul. So yeah, looking at these sets, it's gonna be very competitive from what I can tell.
I would absolutely agree, and I think Laser's a big point to talk about. No one is doubting Laser's like historical success and ability to play the game. That's just something that's not in question at all. Historically, yeah, Laser is one of the greats, to be honest, but has been gone for quite a long time. And so I see what you mean about not being too experienced Shape on the treatment theater, not because he struggles to loop a Myers, because it's a Myers. What do you want me to say? But at the same time, it's a unique set. It requires an entirely different skill set that you might not be familiar with. But yeah, the fact that all the other killers are OG killers, ones that he has scrimmed and played against a while in the past, I feel like once you learn those fundamentals, you don't really let go of them. And once you have learned how to loop these killers, and you've done it in scrims, officials, and in your public matches over and over again, you're not going to lose any kind of pep in your step. So maybe the first set might be a struggle for Elysium, but the rest of them, the Laser Gambit shouldn't be any kind of disadvantage. I'm going to pose the same question that I just did to you, Ratz, to Zach. Looking at all of these sets, anything that really pops out to you or stands out?
Yeah, so Ratz kind of hit the nail on the head with the Shape, given that it's sort of a bit of a unique set in itself, and you're talking about Laser, for example, who is only like kind of just having to get back into it. You know, he's pretty warmed up at this point, but yeah, there's that set. But I also kind of want to point the finger towards the Demogorgon set, because that's that's a set that's very 1v1 orientated. You know, are we thinking that like maybe I felt like I'm focusing on Laser too much, but it's kind of interesting to talk about because you've got these two teams that have been playing sort of consistently throughout Season X, and then Laser comes in at the like sort of last minute to fill in. And it's, if we go back to the Ghoul set, which happened last set, like he was dead at 4 gens in that first Ghoul set. Like he was not experienced against that killer. Hardwell sort of took advantage of that and got him out of the game early. And essentially like Ariandel kind of maybe in their heads, are they thinking like, oh, is he the weak link in this team because of just how, you know, much he's not been on the game, you know? I do wonder that Ariandel mentality, because that's definitely something that they're going to be considering. Like we've got this player who hasn't been around and potentially could exploit that as a sort of to gain an advantage. Whilst it feels harsh to say, I'm thinking that this is a consideration for Ariandel. Obviously dependent, like I know Laser to be an insane survivor in general, like from his, you know, his ladder experiences and things and just previous survivor performances. But yeah, like is that is that there? Maybe now that he's warmed up, but that demo 1v1 focus set, maybe I'm thinking could be a second set to consider next to that shape one.
You want to know a fun fact? Because I'm digging around in Toby's stat sheets in the background. You want to know a fun fact about Demogorgon? Has only been played, only got played once in the regular season. That doesn't feel right. It feels like I recall seeing so much Demogorgon. Obviously, we did see him relatively recently in these playoff games, but like, yeah, we have only seen one during the regular season. So that's something that these teams don't actually have lots of official practice on. Everything else, however, a shape as well, something which I do not believe it's been picked only twice. And I don't believe that either time it was any of these teams. Obviously, I'll check myself on that. Ariandel have actually played Shape this season, and Elysium have not. So there is definitely an edge for Ariandel in that matchup, simply on account of the fact that they have played this. I do believe they won that set as well against Oracle. So, we are getting closer and closer to the matchup now. Just 5 minutes left that we have for these teams. Now, the age-old question, right? We know the stakes. We know how big a deal it is to get to these finals. This is the biggest season and the biggest tournament in the history of Dead by Daylight. Full stop. No ifs or buts about it. So both of these teams are going to do everything that they can to get to the finals. Invictus, of course, secured their place in dominant fashion, going 6-1 this weekend. Both of these teams, Elysium and Ariandel, have a lot more work to do ahead of them. So I'm going to start with you, Ratz. What do you think what do you expect from this series? Who do you predict? And what do you think? And sorry, I'm losing track. Who do you predict? And what do you think the scoreline will be?
What do I predict and what will the scoreline look like? I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I think Shape just goes to Ariandel. That's the edge that you've explained there. It's just too big in my opinion. I don't think Elysium can take that off them. All the other 4 sets I don't see going in either way. I see them be very competitive. So I can it's difficult to say. I think it's gonna go down to the 5th set as well. I don't know who to bet on. Maybe I think I'll go with Ariandel simply because they have one set where they have the edge and the other 4 they can fight it over with. But that aside, it's gonna be very competitive in my opinion.
I absolutely agree. Just a kind of quick sum up of the history of these teams. Of course, both of them absolutely dominant. Ariandel having a 68% set win rate to Elysium 62%. But Elysium, again, they were able to get here playing less sets. They didn't have to go through the qualifier stage. This is something that I mentioned on the desk yesterday. Obviously, our top team Invictus, despite Ariandel not even qualifying via the top 3, having to get in through the play-ins, the last chance qualifiers, they actually didn't pick them. They went with the 3rd place slot instead of 4th place. Now, obviously, that decision paid off for them. They made it to the finals, but it shows how scary Ariandel are, how terrified. Okay, terrified may be a strong word, Sirit, but how Invictus were not taking any chances and saw that team as a real threat. Zach, I'm going to pose to you the same question that I did to Zach. Who do you have winning this, and what scoreline?
Yeah, I mean, like, kind of coming from casting the first match, I don't know, man. Like, Elysium make it so hard for me sometimes with like how these sets are going. I want to hedge my bets with the more consistent team. I think I'm gonna give the win to Ariandel. I'm not entirely sure. Like, I think Shape and Nurse, they have the advantage in because they have Fallen Art, who is known for his nurse, notorious for his nurse. I know Mathis has talked about it before, like his skill in general, and he is kind of the dedicated nurse player too. So while he's not going to be fatigued at all which is another consideration where he's going to be coming in fresh to that nurse set, maybe having been warmed up today prior to all of this. So if we're looking at maybe breaking down the individual sets, we've got two that Ariandel look favored in. But in general, based on the kind of consistency I've seen today, I do think that they're going to take the edge. But I honestly believe that we could see a game 5 again. It's totally like neck and neck as far as what I've seen so far.
Yeah, I mean, we are so close this matchup. Of course, we're going to have you in between every single matchup to break down the action, but I think that the players are eager. They are raring to go. Ratz, did you have anything that you wanted to say before we start off what could be the last opportunity for both of these teams?
Yeah, I have actually. If you look at back last week when we had Invictus deciding who they wanted to verse in the playoffs, right? We came out of the qualifiers versus Ariandel versus Oracle, and we are all amazed and surprised that they chose Invictus, right? But like looking at it now, are you still surprised? I'm gonna ask you this question because from what I've seen from the last 2 best of 5s in this matchup, is that Ariandel is some sort of consistent powerhouse, and Elysium is a huge glass cannon. So I feel like they went with the right choice as well.
And yeah, I think that's kind of exactly. I think that was kind of the point I was going on about, where it paid off for Invictus to choose Nocron, but it's more so that like they were scared of the consistency of Ariandel. I'm trying to see from the group stages. Elysium and Ariandel obviously would have faced off in the regular season. I'm actually not sure who won that head-to-head matchup. I'll be looking for it in just a moment. It was Ariandel who won it 2-0, who actually ended up lower in the standings, yet still, lower in the standings, but still ended up. The point is, everyone made it. That's the main thing, not to harp on too much. So, Zach, before we go in, was there anything final that you wanted to say or add?
I mean, not really. It's probably good timing because we are actually loading in. But yeah, I'm excited to see. I think that there's a good chance for the teams to set the tone of the series in this first match. So looking forward to it. It's the wildcard set. We're starting off with the set that's the most unpredictable, and so I feel like from a mindset point of view, that is really the angle that we're going to be looking for. But without further ado, I suppose I should pass on to our lovely casters, unless you want to do the honors, Edgar.
It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a close one. This is the final opportunity for both of these teams to make it to the finals. They want to etch themselves in the history books. Well, they have to do it right here, right now. First set, it's going to be the shape, and we're going to send it over to our wonderful casters, Dyer and Andrew. Take it away.
Thank you so much, guys, for that really deep insight that you gave us. I think we can all agree it's a fantastic best of 5 on our hands. It does test who has more patience, who can really pull through with the focus. And we also need to be aware it's not the most comfortable killers here. 10 killers were already selected and no killer can be a duplicate here. So it is basically chose 11 to 15 that is played here. The shape standing out, analysts agreed on that. I pretty much follow them with that take because the shape is always a huge surprise, especially on Larry's here. OutcastAndrew, my wonderful co-caster for the best of 5 here. What do you think about the Myers?
I'm excited. I was very, very fortunate to get to cast last week when we saw our first sight of the shape in season 10. It was pretty explosive. I mean, Myers is a pretty mid killer. Arguably, some would put him in the bottom 3 in the game, but given the rule set and what's allowed and the map choice and whatnot, it made for some really interesting and explosive matches last week, and I'm looking to see something very similar to it. For those of you, anyone who knows me, I'm a big fan of stealth killers. typically, if the survivors can keep the comms strong and are able to really communicate when they have and when they don't have eyes on the killer, they can usually get pretty good outs. But the moment something goes wrong, it all goes wrong really fast. So we'll have to see how this goes. I gotta say, I'm super excited to be here, everybody. I was on the edge of my seat all morning watching this. Well, sorry, I'm morning in Canada. I was on the edge of my seat watching those matches earlier today, watching Invictus qualify for the finals, and I wasn't sure if I was gonna get any casting done, but here we are, the tiebreaker. Let's go, baby. We got a chase here on Marco. Big stun comes in. We're about 25% of the way to tier 3 there, Dyer.
And it seems like we have a little bit of a struggle locking in on one survivor. They are doing a good job being aware where the Michael is located. They do make sure that they are leaving early, really making a distance gap between survivor and killer, and that takes too long to just walk after. You would lose too much of the generators here. We can also tell the stealth is even increased with our perks here, really trying to look forward into catching them off guard here, and we are close to the tier 3 now. So it might be Marco facing the first wrath of the Michael. No, Bubbo opting to go once more back towards the generator over here. And that will really be the important difference between the first two trials with the Michael, right? Who is maybe getting jump scared, who realizes that the Michael is behind them a little bit too late, and who doesn't make it far enough into the pallet here. Smart from Bubbo. He's holding this tier 3 for so long, getting some pallets out of the way because the survivors can smell this killer is about to turn into a killing machine, but he's not wasting any precious second of the power, instead removing some resources, and that might set us up for a pretty successful mid-game later.
And, you know, there was a lot of talk previously about how Lasers might be a little bit rusty. Obviously, really, really great player, but a little bit removed from the comp scene for a little bit there. But I'm liking the play by Laser here so far. There is no excuse to go down in a Leary's stealth match while the God pallets still exist. And we just saw 3 God pallets go down. Lasers taking no chances. Get those out of the way. And, like, if you die when Library or that other pallet there are up, and you wind up going down, you've wasted resources and you put your team in a losing position, and Laser's not going to be responsible for that. Laser had a really good chase there. We can see a lot of gen progress coming in. Bubbles holding on to this tier 3. We're going to have to wait and see if we can maybe do a sneaky little double back here with our Trail of Torment, but it has not paid off yet, and I like this by the survivors. We don't know where he is. He's stealthy right now, so we're just going to hold check spots and make sure we don't get surprised with a tier 3 out of nowhere. A second gen pops. We got a lot of progress on a third. And okay, so Bubbo does, and now it's time. Now, can Laser survive this extended tier 3? This is an extremely strong pallet. This is, again, I've talked about this previously on Leary's matches, where this pallet can be either the strongest, like a God pallet like that, or it can be a garbage pallet if there was 2 doors open there. Mm-hmm. Laser lucks out with a good spawn there, and Laser's going to stay alive at least a little while longer here.
Yeah, the interesting question is now, we all heard it when Mandy Talk from Behavior, our beloved community manager, was here for the interview, rooting for Elysium. Maybe the Behavior headquarter currently smoking there because Mandy cooking up some safe pallets for Elysium. Now, obviously, that's a joke though, but shout out to Behavior here once again for the official support. And yeah, Bubbo is really in a difficult and tough spot here. The survivors are playing absolutely phenomenal. This is basically textbook counterplay to a Michael Myers. Awareness where he is located at the moment. Communication on point. Where is he moving? What generator is under attack next potentially? Leaving extremely early. And you talked about it. This is an extended tier 3 duration, but we are looking into a few more, around about 20 seconds until it's all over. But El Marco, unfortunately, going down here. Good news for Bubbo that he gets at least 1 down out of this power, but I feel like that is not the early game that you were looking for on this side of Ariandel here.
It's not, but I mean, let's imagine the situation where Bobo doesn't get that down. We had, as you can see, we just dropped back into tier 2. If we didn't get that down, we would have been. This would have been almost at the end of the game. So good to see that down. The unfortunate thing is we spent a lot of time kicking these generators, and a few of them popped, and we didn't get a whole ton of eruption value. A couple of them, these two down here did get eruption value, but I'm loving the build, by the way. Very, very heavy kick build. Holding the check spot the wrong way there, Xeno. We've all done it. Looking left and the killer comes from the right. We are now very close. There we go. We've 99 again, but we popped our tier 3. I don't know if that was intentional or not. Usually I would like to think we want to be a little bit closer there. A third generator pops. There's still a lot of decent pallets up on the map here. This is, oh no, but that happens again. The double back, Bobo has now double backed and got both Marco and Xeno, and we're gonna get a second hook here. And this time we've got a lot of tier 3 left. So the survivors are popping these generators off, but we do have a pretty nice 3-gen down this end of the map. This one might pop before this hook even comes in, though.
Yeah, it is definitely looking better for Ariandel now, especially because we have a fresh hook now. But if these 2 gens get through and we are in endgame, then it's no good news at all, because then Elysium won't have any trouble leaving Xeno behind. You can totally live with 4 stages on 2 survivors and taking the door out. Here's what we talked about earlier, though. It has been a really good setup by Bubbo. This patience with the tier 3, forcing the survivors into pre-dropping pallets and getting rid of them, that costed time. That's why we are now in the end game. But you now have an easier time in the chases, so we might be able to pull some slugs here.
Yeah, like, so we're sitting at 3 hooks, 3 fresh. I mean, obviously it's not a great score, but 3 fresh will potentially come into play if we see similar survivor play from the survivors of Ariandel here. Bubbo definitely wants to get a little bit more. Our main target will be Laser, the one who was keeping the survivors in a good position at the start of the match. But now that we've dropped out of tier 3 again, it's kind of a rough situation. Laser is our fresh hook, which would be a nice one to catch, but also Laser's the only healthy survivor. Now we are quickly stalking. We're using our Judith Myers Memorial there to stalk extra fast, and it looks like we're getting pretty good progress. We see blood, so somebody's coming to body block. I don't even think we need the body block. I think we're just out. That's it. Yeah, Nodder's there. That's
Wow.
gonna be a 3-hook game there, Dyer.
And that is rough, right? Because this is this decision that you sometimes have to make when you enter the end game too quickly spoken from the killer POV. Do I just face camp a survivor knowing the maximum result is 4 or 5 stages, or do I try to move on and get some slugs? Because obviously you really want to put your survivor team in a good win condition. And it seems like that goodwill didn't really come through here. Let's hear from our analysts for the upcoming trial, especially Egdar. How do you deal with a difficult win condition like this, where you can have basically 2 stages only?
To respond to your question, Dyer, I think you pray to whatever god you hold dear. There's not a lot that I think that can be done. Hey guys, hey Ratz and Zach, remember that narrative that we were just going about how Ariandel like absolutely take this set, and like there's no way that Elysium have a chance in the Myers set? Should we be like eating our words or something? I'll go to you first, Ratz. I mean, there's so many things to say, but kind of what went wrong there? What went wrong for Ariandel there? That was a really, to put it bluntly, that was a very poor killer performance. Even on a killer like Myers, like 3 hook stages is nothing.
And corrected. I mean, you gotta give it also a little bit to the RNG that we had to work with here. Was quite favorable for the survivor sides. There was a 3-gen on the bottom side of the map that he was trying to play, but he could not really hold on to that because there were simply too many really good pallets to play. Like we've seen, as you said, this one pallet on the edge of the map that sits on the wall, where if you have both doors open, that is extremely unfortunate and a weak pallet. But they had a couple of these pallets. They also had the good long room spawn. It could have only been slightly better RNG wise, but it was honestly a really good Larry's. And I mean, I just have to say that Laser just honestly put the team on his back, played super safe, played what the team required him to do, and dropped the pallets. But also played like he didn't play wasteful. What I'm also trying to say, he didn't just pre-drop the pallets. He also like tried to get as many loops out of them as possible, and denied as much stock. It's just like not taking any chances, right? And that just, yeah.
Yeah, this sounds pretty small, but it was with it was with like the God palette in the hallway where I noticed that Laser actually didn't just pre-drop it, as you said. Instead, he actually went all the way back round into the hospital wing and then back out to the hallway before dropping it, which is easily buying another like 10, 15 seconds before it's kicked, and just enough of that safety ends up being just fine. Everything that we said about Laser maybe struggling on this set, Laser decided to very handedly prove us wrong. Zach, let's say that you're in a spot like this, where you where you basically just have to go nuclear on the survivor side, and you basically no one can even get hooked if you want to even think about like winning this. What do you do? Is there anything you can do? Is it just over?
I don't think so. I think it's definitely an advantage to play killer first and set the result, because both teams were probably not expecting a very high stage result anyway. But now that you've got a sort of, this is how many hooks maximum I can give before we lose, that kind of changes things really. And I think I agree with Ratz when I said that Laser just really carried that one. Like, he maximized absolutely every pallet. Bear in mind, every pallet that he was dropping was really strong. So to maximize each one of those, it added so much time onto this, like, you know, the generator progression side of things. A lot going for the survivors in that sense. It's really like, we could speak it to RNG, but yeah, like the setup early game was really strong. There were a couple of slip ups, like Xeno getting caught off guard. But yeah, I think it's definitely added pressure for sure when you have that number in your head. But in that first set, you know, you're not like, it's not like the clock's ticking and you have that advantage of it's kind of like less pressure. I want to say, even just to go down to like grassroots and say, oh, it's based on who kills first. I don't want to say that, like it's a bit too simple, but yeah, 100%. Like the playing to the win condition and low stage sets is always so nerve-wracking, no matter what killer it is, right?
It seems a bit like what you're getting at is your odds are slim to none, to be honest, but just try and get the win con out of your head, you know? Just try and... Yeah. It is when you put that amount of pressure on yourself, and it is when you kind of catastrophize how the last game just went, that things get, like, stressful for you. And so, even though you're losing this, you just kind of go in and try and play the best that you can. Players took a little bit of time. Bubbo's game crashed. He's been playing that hard for the entire day. But they are ready to go in, so we're going to be seeing Elysium's turn on the killer side. Realistically, they should be just fine. But we're ready to go in, so once more, we're going to hand it over to our very capable casters, Direwolf and Andrew.
Thank you for that analysis, you guys. I'm loving the eating crow, saying how Elysium was going to get absolutely destroyed. I'm just teasing you. We're going to be loading in here. I want to say it's interesting because last week, Dyer, when we saw these, we saw some. I think it was like a 4K4 or something wild from Myers. It's funny because I was there, but it's slipping me the exact results. But somewhere around a 4K4, but that's not normal. It's funny to say that a 3-hook game is not completely unheard of from at least my experience when watching competitive Myers play. Again, as long as the survivors do what they're saying. So is Ariandel going to pull this out? I don't know, but it's not impossible. It's not impossible to put up a similar result.
Yeah, you can pull this, right? Especially the Russian teams from the Russian community. They have really, really been impressive on the indoor maps and on the stealth killers. It was a little bit unfortunate that the Survivor team of Elysium could counter that, but let's see if the Survivor team of Ariandel doesn't even have more stacked up in their sleeve here. Xeno coming in on the killer side has taken a lot of responsibility so far today, and in set number 6 it is his responsibility to basically stick to the good performance from the Survivor side here. And even if it doesn't work for Ariandel, you can still put yourself up in a good shape and in a good momentum from the Survivor side, around about like 4-5 stages in worst case, because you will stay on the Survivor side, and then with this chemistry, you can make sure that it works well. However, we notice an entirely different strategy at the start here, because Ariandel is nowhere to be found, yet a few percentages on the generator over here. So it seems like we do play a lot of hide and seek. Water now being found here, and that's going to be almost tier 2 entirely already. But it does feel like Ariandel cooked some plan here, Andrew. They are not coming in clueless.
No, and I absolutely love good stealth play. Like you saw that we were cycling through the survivors while Xeno was looking for people. Cycling through, we got people looking, watching checkpoints, looking both ways. We had Hardwell sitting upstairs in the main TV room there. Really, really good stuff there. It's really interesting. We have basically the same build as last time, except instead of Trail of Torment, we have Unforeseen, which is the same idea, but with different application. So before we would kick a generator and we would become undetectable. Now we kick a generator, we become undetectable, but the generator keeps your terror radius. A little bit different, same effect, but a little bit different. Maybe it might be a little bit harder to call out. I imagine they'll call it out now. Bubba's gonna go, hey, I didn't have a terror radius. What's going on? And Hardwell, I think, was over there. Definitely would have heard it by the generator. So they'll probably call it out. But good M1 hit there in tier 2. But not a lot of stock so far, though. I think we're just going to use our stealth, run around, put down some eruptions, get some Call of Brine value here. I got to say, Dyer, I'm loving, even in the last couple weeks now, Call of Brine is just seeing this resurgence, and no pun intended. And I'm loving seeing it because it's nice to have more variety in perks. Great mind game there by Xeno, and we're just going to get a simple M1 no power kill here on Bubbo and get our first hook. Got a little bit of eruption value too, so we know we got a survivor nearby as well.
Yeah, this is really an advantage here, right? Taking the first down and basically not in the tier 3 yet shows you got the mind games, you got the mechanical skill that it takes to take these survivors onto the floor and onto the hook here. So really, really well done on that. Xeno definitely keeping the energy from that set number 5 from the previous match that we played here. Swatter now being caught while rotating over to Bubbo. So this might also be problems very soon. Hopefully another survivor, either Hardwell or Excise, can move around. That should be the next couple of portions on the stalk here, though. 3/4 now on the tier 2. Ariandel needs to be careful, because if that rescuer is now being caught by Xeno, we might have the tier 3 before the unhook is even coming through. And then, okay, they were stealthing in time, Swatter coming in here. It does end up in a trade, though, so we are moving closer and closer to our win condition, and we still have 3 generators left. Xeno gonna feel absolutely great here.
Yeah, and I was interested to see, very interested to see what Xeno was going to do on that unhook, because we were close enough to tier 3 that if we had fully stocked Swatter as the unhook came in, we could have one-shotted, but instead decided to 2-tap, hit the unhook, and then down Swatter, and then get the remaining stock on the retreating Bubbo. So now we're 99. Now we've got Swatter on hook. Anybody comes in, we can deny the, if we're anywhere near the hook, we can deny the unhook with by popping tier 3 and downing them. Or we could just do this. Oh, good try there, but Hardwell does make that medium vault and get through. I was gonna say the other alternative is potentially just going to get down here, and that's what we're going to do. So this is going to be our tie condition right now. We are going to be reaching our third hook here, third fret. So next hook will be a win for Xeno here and Elysium, which is definitely what Elysium wants to see, particularly since they had a bit of a rough match yesterday. Today, obviously, they put up a much better fight. So.
Yeah, if only Ariandel would find back to their form from yesterday, right? I mean, they do have a few more sets to go, but it would be really needed. Any stage now, even the progression of Hartwell would be enough here to secure the win in the first set for Elysium. They do try everything possible. Little standoff here by Excise, dropping the pallet as late as possible to waste a little bit of an extra time, but we still have the tier 3, so Excise does need to find some shelter, but all the pallets in this area have been removed earlier, so this window needs to make sure that it's successful, but we do not have more windows in reach, maybe because he's playing on an Apple MacBook. He's running out of windows. Who knows? But the flashlight save! The flashlight save is coming in out of nowhere! What a save onto Access to keep the dream of a tie alive here. Ladies and gentlemen, what a play, what a fight. Unfortunately, Swatter is going down right after, but this is what we want to see here. Ariandel fighting to the very, very end. And this sets the tone for the upcoming set here. You might lose this one. You might drop the first set point to Elysium. But if you have a great chemistry here and if you pull a nice few plays, you definitely feel good about the next challenge.
A great play. Could you imagine? Okay, just with the timing of all that, this is like a woulda, coulda, shoulda. But Swatter gets the save, and it's just enough to pop Xeno down from tier 3, run out, and go back down to tier 2. If Swatter had been healthy, that would have been a complete swing, because it wouldn't have been able to get the down on him. Unfortunately, they were, and we got the win and whatnot. But I'm just like, man, that a great save. Really, I love the competitive spirit. We're not going to leave anything on the table. Like, biggest tournament of all time. You're facing elimination right now. There's no tomorrow if you don't win today. So I love that they're throw everything at the wind, and we're going even in this Myers match. So oh no, respectful. Bubbo tried to corner up, and Xeno smelled a rat and found him there. So we're gonna put some in here. I don't know what's this looking like to me. This is we're getting down to one generator here, but there's a couple people on Death Hook now. Are we looking at a 4K here maybe?
I mean, it would be crazy for Elysium, an absolute ego boost, you could say, or confidence boost coming out. So I hope for Ariandel that they will take some stages out of the door, and if not, at least getting the final generator done, right? But 3 stages in exchange to a 4K with generator standing would be really, really tricky here. Xeno making sure, though, that Ariandel stays constantly under pressure. They are all injured. They have to take care of one hook stage over there. Bubbo now being rescued, but kind of in the corner of Larry's Memorial Institute here, so not too much where you can go, but Xeno just going straight after Bubbo over here. Now leaving them entirely, wants to make... Yeah, Xeno definitely wants the 4K here to put the foot down, basically, and tell them this is how this final best of 5 is going to go.
This is such a small thing, but something I as a killer man, I absolutely love seeing. Xeno got blinded at that pallet, and was turned when we got the vision back as the observers. It was already like 3 rooms away. He just his perfect navigation, even blind. It was really impressive. I thought it was really nice. Survivors do get the last generator done. We got Excise down here, so we'll be getting a couple more hook states, but we will probably be seeing outs here. All 3 survivors at the same exit, but it does seem like they have they're going to get the store open before in time. So looks like I kind of lost track of hook states there a little bit, but I think we're sitting at around 7 or 8 right now. Probably just going to sit here and secure it, and Xeno doesn't need to do anything special, and we're going to see three Ariandel survivors running out the gate, and that is going to be a W for Elysium for this first round.
Very, very well done. Great continuation of what the analysts pointed out earlier. When Elysium plays on the peak performance, they are super dangerous. Let's hear what our analysts think about this trial and about the upcoming challenge that is waiting for us, which is going to be none other than the wonderful Artist. Take it away, guys.
Thank you, Dyer and Andrew. And yes, that realistically, there was nothing that could be done there, right? And because of that, what I'm going to say is I wouldn't dwell too much on the set that just happened, because it was kind of decided before it had even begun. I'm sure both of you would agree. There wasn't really anything that Ariandel could do to come back from that one, but it just kind of feeds into the general point that, you know, Elysium have their peaks, and they are so high that they're able to, you know, perform on Killer and Survivor in such dominant fashion when things are going their way. So I'm going to look forward to the next set that we have to go through, which is the Artist. Now, Artist is has been a very popular killer this season, one of our most picked killers, actually. However, interestingly enough, these teams really don't pick it that much. Now, they've gotten their reps on it, and in fact, they actually got their reps on it in the regular season. They both faced on the Artist set, and that was an Ariandel win, but by one fresh hook stage. This was Elysium's pick, but as we established, as we go further and further into the these picks, you can see that, you know, this isn't a killer that these teams want to play all that much. In fact, in that head-to-head, both these teams, they only managed to get 4 hook stages on their respective survivors. So, Ratz, I'm going to put it to you first. Do you think that we're going to see like some major hook stages or some major improvements in Artist gameplay from that last matchup?
I don't know what to believe anymore. I'm gonna be honest with you. After
Yes,
the narratives
good
that
point.
we drew between Elysium, like Elysium is so difficult to read and to understand where they're at, right? I've said them, I've described them as a glass cannon, right? One time they might perform really, really, really good out of their minds and outperform any expectation that we have had, and the next game they're getting 4K on 4 generators against the harmless killer. So I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what to expect, but looking at that match specifically, 4 stages, and they only lost by 1 fresh hook that closely matched. That's the reason why this killer ended up this far down the line, that it's gonna be competitive, and neither of those teams think that they would necessarily take it for free. So it's gonna be a fight over it.
Yeah, Zach, it seems like everyone's basically about ready to go. Were there any brief words that you had about this matchup? Any thoughts, maybe a quick prediction on who might take the edge here? Knowing that our narratives are completely shot, and the answer is we don't really know. They're so evenly matched.
I don't know, I feel like whenever we approach expectations or predictions, teams just kind of like flip it on its head. But I definitely know that the Artist set's a lot different to the last one, so it's
Yes.
gonna need another, like, a different play style, different mindset. So it's almost like a reset in itself. And in that regard, I guess we could see we could see it go either way. I feel like it's such a boring thing to say, but like,
If
I don't know.
if you're Elysium, shake off what just happened. Look forward. Sorry, if you're Ariandel, I should say, look to the future, shake the cobwebs off, and lock your ass in. We're going to send it right back over to our casters, Dyer and Andrew, to take the Artist.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Quick disclaimer at the beginning. I feel like if you want to be good with the upcoming character, you should be kind of an Artist in Dead by Daylight. Let's get it, ladies and gentlemen. Is Elysium getting the head start with a 2-0, or is it going to be a little bit of a comeback by Ariandel on the Survivor side? Trial 3 will reveal that to us on the Azeroth's resting place, a pretty tactical map, Andrew. You need to make sure that you are aware of the 3 or potential 4 gens on one side, and you need to make sure that you're not accidentally getting a hook stage on one side and allowing the killer to lock down the bottleneck in the midsection.
Good play there by Bubbo to avoid that dire crow there. Yeah, no, I absolutely love these eye-shaped maps with the Azeroths and suffocation pit. Not able to avoid that one there, by Bubbo. I'm gonna have to take a look where where the generators did spawn. Just sometimes you will see a very, very quick down here by Obi. So we're doubling up a generator that looks like it's probably our middle generator. A little bit hard to tell. Yeah. Oh no. So it's yeah. So this middle generator is clearly up towards the main building side, which also is where the basement is, and so we're gonna get our first basement, our first hook in the basement here. About 75% done that generator. I would imagine Swatter is down the other end of the map near Shack, trying to get a generator done there, but they're gonna want to get one of the main building side generators done quickly to try and split up this 3 gen. Now, this is very important. Hardwell cannot get found here, otherwise things will go very, very south very quickly.
Yeah, the basement here is unfortunate at the beginning, right? We just talked about how the killer is trying to lock down a 3 or 4 gen area on one side, and being in the basement pretty much allows for locking down one area. Swatter, though, working on a generator down here, so they can later on try to shift the game over to the other side, making sure that they are crossing here. So let's see if that's a plan for them. Hartwell sneaking around. I think he got spotted there at the window. Yeah, he definitely did. So Xeno aware now that the basement is under pressure. Babo will go into the second stage. No rescuer coming in and no rescue possible now. 2 generators in exchange though. That's decent, but letting him into the second stage there feels bad for Ariandel.
Yeah, and I've got a better look at these generators. This main building side has 3 very tight gens. There's this gen that we see Hardwell working. There's another one directly behind main building, and there's one even deep on the other side by the bus. This is a very, very scary 3 gen. Good juke there on Hardwell. We will take the M1, but not taking the birds. We're gonna get the unhook on Bubbo, so Obi's gonna head back and try and continue this tunnel out. What we really need to see is to get down the other end of the map here, even if Bubbo's gonna die, which he's gonna die right away. That was really unfortunate. Swatter looked like they were looking to give him a tank, but I guess Swatter thought that maybe there was enough room to get there. Hardwell, this is very bad. Hardwell was hovering around to try and get that firecracker save, and now we're going into the worst case scenario when you reach the 3v1, starting the 3v1 with a survivor on hook, which is, I imagine, what's going to happen here. And you can tell Obi is very, very aware of the position that they're in, and definitely was trying to, like, we're in 4K 3 territory. I don't imagine it'll go that way, but we are in 4K 3 territory. I believe that was a pain res hook, so we're gonna get some regression on that generator there. We should be able to pick up Hardwell. Yeah, this is a really bad position for our survivors, Dire.
Yeah, things are falling apart a little bit on Ariandel's side. It seems like they got hit pretty hard with that final set from the previous best of 5, right? Where Elysium absolutely smashed it on the Ghoul replay with the 3 stages. Now coming into the Myers set that was picked by Ariandel also didn't work out, and it didn't work out by a long shot. And now it's Elysium set here, and they do look pretty strong. I hope Ariandel can find an answer to this. Maybe it would be an idea to take the time out, discuss the strategy a little bit, cooling down, and hopefully they can get some generators done here on the survivor side. Still, I feel like we should at least go down. Wow, the double shot coming out there onto Hartwell. Obi locking in, absolute great performance. But I feel like we should at least make it down to 1 generator still standing, because then you can try lock down a 3-gen, play for the tie condition, right? But 2 more gens are definitely needed here.
I totally agree. Yeah, I talk about this all the time, but when obviously the goal for survivors is to, this is true on both sides, both killer and survivor, but the goal for survivors is to get people out the door, get the gens done, get out the door. You get to a point like this where, okay, listen, I don't want this little wait out. You get to a point in matches like this where eventually you're like, okay, listen, the odds of us getting people out the door are low. We're at 3 gens right now. We need to get 1 down. Good down there, a good bird down there on Excise. Swatter does pop the generator in Shack, so now we're down to 2. It's triage mode is what I'm trying to say. Right now we're in, listen, we got to pop a generator. Okay, now we're down to a 4K2. Then we got to try and pop another generator. Okay, we're down to 4K1. You take it 1 step at a time. You maybe stop worrying about, I got to crack the 3-gen. I got to, what's the best way? How do we get people at the door? No, get a generator done. Get a generator done. And that seems like the survivors understand the assignment, and they are getting the gens done down the opposite side of the map. The 3-gen is not even a topic of discussion right now. Interesting to note, Swatter just about got hit by birds there, but that would not have given killer instinct because Swatter was crouched. Some people aren't aware that when the birds have a near miss, the dire crows will give you killer instinct, but not if you're crouched. So little tip there if you're not too familiar with Artist mechanics. Swatter hanging out down here, Hardwell cranking the gen down the other side. Do you think Swatter's gonna be able to sneak in for the save?
I hope so, because we do need something crazy, right? We need to make sure that either we pull unexpectedly and get the survivor back, or Swatter needs to be on a generator right now. Like, basically, there's no scenario right now where Swatter can sit here and Excise goes into second stage. That is wasted time, and that cannot happen. We need this save, this sprint burst, making sure that we get down there. Swatter,
oh my goodness,
the hero for Excise last millisecond, and now these 2 survivors need to make it out of the basement, but he's setting up the crows. That's the 2-tap onto Excise, and that's going to be a 3-tap potentially onto Swatter, but luckily we do have the pallet here. Crow being set up. That's a dodge from Swatter here, but there's no pallet in reach. Maybe this window. The answer is no. So Swatter and Excise down on the ground, and Hardwell playing the medic, coming over into the main building. Ariandel fighting so hard, but Andrew, I think we are close to our final chase here.
But you know what? You said it, and they did it. They needed to get down to a 4K1 and then give their killer a chance to tie or beat that win condition, and they did it. I gotta say, for a bit of a rough start, and that maybe Swatter not taking the body block when we were coming out of basement to allow for Bubbo to go down for the death hook, and also then Hardwell with the failed firecracker save. All that bad stuff happened, and they managed to make it to 4K1. I'm going to call that a win for the survivors, given the way things started. This is a winnable and a tieable score for their killer. So we have to see what's going to happen coming back with that. But all in all, this could have gone worse. This could have gone a lot worse there.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit like the famous good news in a bad scenario, right? When someone says there are good news and bad news. The bad news is we got 4K. Okay, that's something we need to accept here. But the good news is you brought it down to 1 generator. You can send your killer in. You can say, okay, you're playing on ARP. ARP is known for the 3 and 4 gen setups that are possible. Hold your 3-gen, defend it, and then we take the tie. I think for Ariandel, a tie would be absolutely great, given the circumstances here. And sending your killer in, saying, lock that area down, we will make it happen, is definitely something possible here. Maybe our analysts can enlighten us a little bit. What's needed to hold down this 3-gen? Like, what do you need to pay attention to? How should your early game look like? These would be questions that I personally have in mind after hearing that win condition. Take it away, guys.
Thank you very much, Daya and Andrew. And momentum seems to be the entire story of this series. But at minimum, if it's any consolation, Ariandel know what they need to do. Ratz, would it be fair to say that a win for Ariandel is kind of out of the question here, but a tie is somewhat doable?
Yeah, I would say so. I think it's actually very difficult to still tie the set for the only reason that there are like only so many no-goes that you can do in a set like this, and
Yeah.
they got punished for it. They did one of them and they got punished for it. And the one no-go that they did is die basement against Artist. Right? Even if you have a bad first chase, it's not the end of the world. You can save that. You can trade the hook or whatever. But if it's a basement and you run down that basement stairs, there is no getting out. If the killer wants to kill you, you are dying in that basement, right?
Yeah.
And as forcing a 3v1, when the down happened as early as it did inside the basement, they can't save that. He's getting confirmed to second stage, and then he's gonna die, especially because that top side was corrupted. Nobody's working any of those generators. So it was very difficult for them to actually come back from this. They got down to one generator, which is a great recovery, right? But dying in a basement against Artist is, especially if it's a quick chase, it's very rough.
Zach, you know that if you want to play for this tie, you have to control a 3-gen. And ARP is a map where you can do that. Do you want... Sorry. Is that a strategy that you want to see coming out from Ariandel on the killer side? Do you want to see them like aggressively hold a 3-gen from the start of the game? Or do you just want them to play like solid fundamentals, go for a quick first chase, obviously, camp tunnel that first survive to death, and then just kind of see what happens? Okay. Well, Zach has exploded. So
I haven't explained. I'm here. I was muted. I didn't realize. Sorry. Sorry.
Okay.
I was yeah. No, I was actually mid answer and just didn't realize. My bad. No, I was saying with bottleneck sets in bottleneck sets in general. Early game's important because you're gonna want to be breaking that 3-gen on one of the sides. So early game focus should definitely be important for both sides, especially when it comes to trying to prevent that 3-genning scenario. But then again, like when your intention is to hold a 3-gen from the start, it does become very risky because then you lose a lot of pressure early game, and then if you can't hold on to that, it really, you risk losing the set, or you're essentially like the survivors can run away from the game, especially when you're 1-0 down already. I'm sure there's going to be a lot on the killer's mind, but for me, I'm going to be watching the first chase or two, positionally where Elysium are going to take I-pick, where they're going to run them around the map, or positionally, I think that they're going to need to really watch their backs to not allow I-pick like a recipe for what we've basically spoken about.
And I think that, like, no matter what way you slice it, trying to, even if you have like the most disgusting, horrific 3-gen of your life, where the gens are literally piled on top of one another like some godforsaken scrap heap, like, if you have 4 survivors alive, they'll break it regardless. We've seen sets of more 3-gen specialized killers with with builds specifically designed to hold 3 generators in bottlenecks. And against 4 survivors, they fall over. Slowly, takes a while, like 30, 40 minutes or so, but they get it done regardless. They're able to get every generator completed and then get out. So I definitely don't foresee just the hold 3-gen strat work. For some numbers, the 4K rate on Artist happens 33% of the time. So, like, you're definitely ahead of the curve here by getting a 4K. For Elysium to get the 4K, but also it's not like it's impossible for Ariandel to get the same thing, right? There is a lot of pressure on Ariandel's shoulders right now. They really have to be doing their damnedest in all of the circumstances here. The first down also came through at 56 seconds. The average time for Artist is 1:23. So not only are you looking to beat the odds in terms of 4K rate, but you're also looking to beat the odds in what was already a pretty spectacular first chase. Before we go into this matchup, I wanted to just give room. Ratz, were there any very, very brief thoughts that you had as we're going into our match?
Yeah, I hope for iPick that he gets either 3-1-3 split or 4-3 split, because unironically, if you have a 5-gen, you are playing from the back foot from the start of the game, because the survivors will immediately figure it out and never die near it. And essentially, you are forced to play a setup that you're going to lose, because you're never going to tunnel somebody out, right? So I hope that he gets like a 3-1-3 split where he has the option to play either side, and he gets a quick first chase where he can utilize a tunnel out and keep the 3-gen with it. Is crucially what he needs to accomplish somehow.
And with that, we're going to send it right back over to our casters to get into this matchup. It's a tough one for Ariandel, but we'll see if they can recover. Direwolf and OutcastAndrew.
Thank you for that. To our analysts, really kind of make or break here. We cannot. Ariandel really does not want to go down by 2 games here. Interesting that iPick is playing killer. During the regular season, Bubble played about 2/3 of all killers for Ariandel. iPick has not had a great killer season, played a handful of games, and average hook states sitting below 5 hooks per match, 4.67 hooks per game. So we're going to need a lot more from iPick here for Ariandel to make a comeback in this series. We're looking at these generators. We saw it down by the main building. We got those 2 very close. We have this middle gen. Our corrupt are down by Shack. So it really is a sort of 3-1-3 split, leaning a little bit towards the main building. This is pretty much the same gens we had last time, Dyer. So really, it's going to come down to who plays this better, both on killer and on the survivor side.
Yeah, the potential is there, right? To lock down this area that the analyst talks about, the bottleneck shape of ARP, really allowing you to hold an area, control who's moving in, who's moving out. So we can make that happen. The question is if Oscar, Xeno, Elmarco, and Laser will allow this to happen. iPick here coming out. Whenever iPick is on the killer, you can really tell that is a specialist set, kind of, because iPick is not playing so many killers across the board. So whenever you see this name, you know someone is really ready for this trial here. Nice work with the Crow there, making sure that Xeno cannot go back towards the pallet, and that kind of secures the M1 here. So we have an early injury, and we're chasing on the side with the active generators. That is important. The corrupt is on the bottom side. iPick here gets the advantage, interrupting the generators basically a little bit, but we do need a quick down because corrupt now naturally expired, so we are 2 minutes in here.
Wow, that was a really quick 2 minutes. I didn't even notice. Good eye there. Yeah, and I was gonna say we're running out of room here, and I'm wondering if we're gonna see a hit tank come in, and apparently we're seeing a hit tank come in from multiple survivors. This is good and bad. I mean, we've just, Xeno's living a little while longer, but Marco and Laser both take a hit, each of them. This middle generator is cranking away. It's the same generator that the survivors of Ariandel finished first as well. We've now made our way all the way down the other end of the map. That was almost max range Gyre Crow damage, but we did get the down. And you know what? It's okay. We've gone down where the corrupted gens were, so we can hold the other end of the map. Maybe we'll be seeing some shack play as opposed to main building play this match. Xeno goes on hook. It is a pain res. They managed to pop that first generator, and you can see there that the survivors are kind of regrouping and figuring out where to go. We got 2 injured survivors, so this is both good and bad. I think that the down came in about a minute slower, but with multiple hit tanks coming in. So good, again, another good news, bad news situation, Dyer.
And I have more good news than bad news. The good news is we have the hook stage where the corrupt was, so there's not too much gen pressure yet. The bad news, the spread of the generators is a lot more significant here on the bottom side. That's potentially why Elysium wanted to really shake this up. Now running towards the top side, so they do not allow iPick to lock down either side. One hook stage here, one hook stage there, and especially with iPick being guided all the way over towards the main building, we are now basically only able to hook where a generator has already been completed. Fantastic awareness of the surroundings by Team Elysium here. Basically calculating where is the job done, where can we now get hooked in order to do not give environment control to the killer. You absolutely love it.
It's actually really interesting. So that first hook on Xeno down by Shaq, we crossed all the way over to the sort of past the tractor where we're looking right there because it was the only pain res hook down there. I think honestly, like hindsight's 50-50, right? Hindsight's 20-20, sorry. But I think maybe if we'd taken the hook closer to Shaq, it would have been better and easier to defend. And given the fact that there was very little to almost no gen progress down by Shaq, I don't know if it maybe would have been worth just saying, forget pain res, I'm just going to take a better hook position. As a result, Xeno, like you said, Xeno managed to make it all the way up the other end of the map, and we basically abandoned our tunnel out, and I don't really blame iPick for that, because now we're down this end of the map. The trouble is that, yeah, if one of these gens pops, that's going to be basically game over for them, and there it is right there as I speak. iPick was aware what was going on, knew that the gen had progress on it, just LaMarco was able to hang out, you know, use that that 4 lane and that the edge map there just long enough to delay the down, and they managed to get the gen done. Now we have a 2-2 split, and iPick is looking like they're going to have a real hard time finishing this game out as a 4K1.
Yeah, they need to find an answer there, down there in the Ariandel VC, right? They need to cook up a strategy that works basically in the next 12.7 seconds. So iPick can gain the control again over the survivor team of Elysium here, because look at all these resets that they just casually pulling while making sure the generators are being progressed. Absolutely great. They are multitasking, and they're even juking a little bit here. Almost worked out, running in the back of iPick there, getting rid of the crows in time. So we'll see a little bit of a longer chase unless we set up a good crow here on the Shack. But Elysium definitely the stronger part of the game at the moment. They decide what's possible. They guide iPick to the areas of the map where they want to be downed. It is not like iPick zones the survivor into an area of the map where he wants the hook. Elysium decide what goes, and Elysium decides it is time for the end game. Ladies and gentlemen, if that's not the biggest speedrun that we have ever seen, we might even see tons and tons of survivors leaving the trial here. And then it's not only the win of the second set, then it's dominance on the second set.
Absolute dominance. You said it exactly right. Yeah, I mean, it's so easy to look back, but I really think that the turning point of this match was taking that pain res. I think we knew, as iPick, we knew that we knew that they had been working that middle gen and had just popped. We knew they were working sort of down that end of the map. We knew the corrupt down this side of the map had been balanced landing. I think they're going to get out. I think Laser's going to get out there. We knew that, we knew that there was very little progress down this side of the map. Like, there's a hook right to the right side of the screen right there. There's a hook on the other side of Shack over here. These hooks would have been a far better choice. And like this hook right here, sprint burst out there too. And yeah, we're getting 4 outs there. Yeah, I think if we'd just taken said, you know what, I'm not going to get the regression. I'm just going to take the hook position. I think that could have been a totally different game. Unfortunately for iPick and fortunately for Elysium, that's the second win. So I guess let's pass it off. We may be speed running this entire set. Let's pass it off to our analysts and see what they have to say.
Oh, God. Oh, goodness gracious. What a way this would be to end the season for Ariandel. You fight your way through those lower bracket qualifiers. You assert dominance over that entire bracket. You assert dominance on the first day with a clean 3-0 onto Elysium, and then you come so close to closing it out as well. And you just can't do it. And now it's the third matchup, and you're down 0-2, and you look lost. You look asunder. Zach, I'm going to ask you first. Is there any way that you think that Ariandel can recover from this? Everything just looks so different for him now.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I think that Fallen Art needs to take his team and put them on his back right now with this Nurse set. I feel like setting the set, the tone for this set, like fresh player, like the specialty Nurse. I think it all rests with him. Is that too crazy to say?
I mean, yeah, you have to make a good start as well. That's the problem. It's not good enough to just to have a fine Nurse performance here. You have to be exceptional. And just think, imagine, the Ariandel dugout in the situation I just described. And yeah, no one would blame him for feeling down, for thinking that all is lost. But honestly, that's not something that they can dwell on. If they want to etch their name into history books, if they want even a chance of doing it, they have to turn things around. They have to do it now. Ratz, I'm going to ask you next. In this Nurse set, obviously, yeah, Nurse is going to just be very good at everything, to be honest. Mobility, chases, everything. What are the things that we're looking out for that might separate a good Nurse from a great Nurse, a tournament winning one?
To be accurate, those blinks gotta land. They can't miss. It's really as simple as that, right? Like, if we look at the last set...
So it's like in a first-person shooter where it's like, if you click them in the head, they die.
Yeah, you have to just click head. If you don't click head, you don't click head,
understood.
and the server doesn't go down. No, but
Right, okay.
I mean, we've looked at last set, right? Elysium just locking in. I like to say the best analogy I have for that is they took the glass cannon they had, they changed the material in the sandbox mode from glass to concrete, and they managed to cure it in time, right? And now they just have to make sure that it just doesn't blow up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the momentum is obviously now currently heavily in Elysium's favor, but don't call out Ariandel. They've got a notorious nursemain, the Fallen Art, coming in, and as long as he can hit his blinks, we've seen him actually play as well. No, I've seen somebody in the match official chat say that they actually played against each other, and it was a 4K1 tie in the group stages.
Yeah, it was a draw last time. So, to be honest, again, both these teams have played Nurse and have some reasonable success on it, but it's just not a pick. That these teams do not pick Nurse, and to be honest, I don't think that, except for the matchup they had against each other, I don't think, I'd have to fact check myself, but I don't think any of them picked Nurse throughout the entirety of the regular season. This could be the beginning of the end here for Ariandel. They need to bounce back, and they need to have a new face come in and put in an absolute clinic on the Nurse. Not to put too much pressure on the shoulders of Fallen Art, but if everything's going to change for Ariandel, it's got to be right now. I'm going to hand it over back to Direwolf and Andrew, who can talk some sense into this set.
Hopefully we can, because we are just as confused as you guys. Elysium seemed to be completely replaced. Xeno, Oscar, Laser, Marco 2.0 basically, especially compared to yesterday. But yeah, Fallen Art, an absolute OG on the Nurse, an absolute OG in the competitive scene, years of experience, and he needs to make it happen. And this is what Ratz talked about. These hits need to hit, otherwise they are not hits, and then the hits are not hitting. And then if the hits are not hitting, then you get hit and don't get the hit that was supposed to hit, but the hit is then on you, and the hit is not the hit onto the hit where it was supposed to hit. And now it's finally hitting Marco. Andrew, your turn.
So, in conclusion, hit them. You're not having a good day when you get pallet stunned as Nurse, and that was wild. Lamarco having a really, really good first chase here. An interesting perk, we do have genetic limits, so we're not going to see any overcome coming into play. It may or may not have come into effect with Dead Heart later in the match, stuff like that. We took a hit, we have to leave. We have to leave, and we have to go patrol these generators right now, maybe put down some eruptions. No gen there, and a gen pops without a down. That's not what you want in a Nurse set. Fallen Art, looked like missed maybe 2 blinks. That's not what you want to see, but there's still a lot of match left, so let's not count them out yet. But my goodness, we need to see something happen right about now. I'm going to guess that generator was doubled based on the fact that it was completed basically in the minimum amount of time with Corrupt still active. Speaking of Corrupt, we're about 2 minutes into this match just about now, and we still haven't. We got dodged around the tree there. And Zeno manages to survive. Everyone's kind of stealthing out. Oh, I'm liking the survivor play. Wow. I'm really liking the don't get seen until you know that you can work on these generators. Oh, Dyer. I don't know, man. This is this is a whole new team. That with the shorts. What happened? That was very strange.
This is not how you can have this trial, unfortunately. Ariandel, lock in! Yes, that's what we need here. We need a down, we need a hook, and we need it quickly. And from now on, we cannot miss a single hit, if you are asking me. Not a single one. We need to predict well, we need to play well, and we need to make sure that we absolutely get the dominance here. 224 while the average is 105. Shout out to Andy Friel, one of our match officials there, for providing the stats. 224, Andrew, on a nurse. That is a crazy first down timer.
That's ridiculous. I mean, contrast that to last time Obi got a down on Artist in 53 seconds in the last matchup. So yeah, Nurse, that's not what you want to see. We also aren't really tunneling Marco out here. We're going to take a hit on Laser. We're trying to chase him off with this middle generator. Pretty important. There's what we want to see from Fallen Art. That's exactly what we want to see. We're a little bit concerned there might be a pallet. We're close to the pallet here, but it seems like we're doing okay. Marco with the self-care botany going on there. Definitely a noob play if you ask me. That's a very, very beginner's style. I'm just kidding, of course. We're gonna see our second hook here on Laser. A lot of gen. I can hear a lot of gens cranking there. I don't know if you heard that, Laser. Oh, Laser. Sorry, Dyer. I called you Laser.
I was right. Yeah.
I was reading Laser's name. My bad.
Laser appreciates these things as well. That's for sure, though. But. Yeah, onto the hook here, and we got to see what Fallen Art's next move is. Will we stay too close to the hook? That is a little bit of my concern, because I don't feel like we are in the position right now where the killer can just camp the survivor.
Great play. By the way, Laser is also deli. I don't know if you saw it. Laser is the deli, so yeah, there you go.
Yeah, but this is what we needed onto Zeno. These are the blinks. These are the blinks that we need right now. This is the comeback, Andrew. Let's go.
I agree. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to jump in there, but I wanted to point out the fact. Yeah, Laser, you were talking about not hanging out too close to the hook. I don't think that Fallen Art knew who got the unhook on Lamarco, so did not know necessarily that it was the deli survivor. And yeah, good thing we went over and took it down on Zeno. But we got to tunnel somebody out of here. I know we're at 4 gens. We got to get somebody out of this game, and quickly. Very quick heal on Zeno there. Laser is still broken. Oh, I thought that was a little short, but I ended up hitting. That's good. Okay. We're playing a very, very friendly pub game. No tunneling here. This is going to be our 4th fresh hook if we can down Oscar.
Yeah, we have the tendency a little bit to blink a little bit too short, almost like either expecting the double blink or kind of getting nervous and not trying to waste too much time here. But I agree with you. We need some downs. Wonderful 180 there by Fallen Art, flicking onto the back of Oscar, making sure that it's going to be the next down. We really feel like Fallen Art is stepping up now. Fallen Art is in the game. He's ready. He's awake. The only question is, how far has Elysium already progressed here with that fantastic early game? And is Fallen Art able to apply a few pop kicks here and there, keeping everything under control? The 3rd generator will definitely be completed here, but it's kind of one of the further away from the hook stage. So I think you can be okay giving that generator away.
Very good. Oh, that was a really good. Canceled the second blink because Zeno was making some jukes. and then wound up just doing a really, really quick follow-up blink after the fatigue. And looks like we're actually going to get a corner, an edge map here down on Xeno. These rocks are, I was going to say these rocks are a pain in the butt, but Fallen Art was not phased by it and managed to get that down on Xeno. Quick unhook and heal on Oscar again. We're being really, really efficient with our heals, and that's going to make everything need 2 taps from our killer. The remaining generators I haven't really seen. We're working kind of on the middle of the map gens, one on the sort of edge map in the trees, and then one right in that middle of the path, middle of sort of Main Street. Still hasn't been done yet. See a tag come in on Lamarco, so great. Okay, you know what? We're back. We're back, Dyer. We're back. We're doing it.
Yeah, we really, really have to be back. There is just no other choice, unfortunately. Ariandel doesn't have another set where we can say, now is the moment where we step up. Now it's happening. We unfortunately do not have that. Marco on the second stage, that would be finally the elimination that we are looking forward to. And I feel like Fallen Art is really falling into some sort of like blood rush where he senses as well, now I'm fighting back, I do get into the stronger position again. The survivors of Elysium do not control any longer what's happening here, but we need to make sure that we continue with that.
We need to get somebody out of this game. Like, okay, so like taking a step back from all the action that's going on right now, we don't just need to 4K. We need, like, honestly, we're facing elimination right now. We're facing, I was gonna say we need a 4K 2, and there goes a generator. A 4K 1 is very beatable and potentially tieable. Like, you need a win. You need a win right now. You don't need a tie. You don't need obviously you can't lose. And I feel like we're just not there. Good vault there by Lamarco. Lamarco is on death hook, but I mean, we're far, far away from the generators, and there's 3 healthy survivors working on them. Dude, what is going on? Lamarco has had Fallen Art's number this entire match, and it's really, really costing them. And there's the gen's gonna pop.
Yeah, this is crazy. And Marco just taking the comeback of Fallen Art and saying, nice attempt, buddy, but not end. Look at them. They are already on the exit gate.
And Marco's only one extra hook, I think.
That is just one more stage, yeah. So we're moving on to 7 stages.
Oh no, sorry, 7. Right, my bad. Yeah, sorry.
7 on 4 at least, but 7 stages on a nurse in a semi-final is not great.
Not enough. It's not enough.
For your survivor team, when you now tell them, guys, you are now with the responsibility playing survivor. You guys need to lock in. What do we have to do? You have 2 kills. So yeah, let's see. We're gonna see what they have in store for us, and we'll hand it back towards our analysts to tell us what they think is the correct strategy here.
Credit to Ratz for this joke, but literally the entire Star VC, that entire match was, it's so over, we're so back. No, it's so over. No, we're so back. Unfortunately, it actually might be over for real. Oh my god. Like, I mean, like, Zach, do you want to like give a quick breakdown of like how that matchup unfolded?
Yeah, well, you immediately started with a. I'm not doing. No, not making the same mistake as last time. Yeah, your first like measurement is that first chase. I mean, over double the average, like taking twice as long as it should. And then Fallen Art kind of just wanted to focus on maybe just breaking up the survivors a little bit. I mean, the gen pressure was a little bit less at the start, and I think that's because Fallen Art was really just kind of moving around the map to try and make up for that lost time at the start. It was looking good because a lot of the chases were quite fast, but then we had like this kind of mid to late game interaction with Marco and a bit of a slowdown, where that's when just Elysium kind of got back on their feet and just completely took over, which is, like what we were talking about, where it was just very up and down because he kind of had that slow start and then he got a very quick what's the word? Like the next 3 stages were actually pretty quick. But then, just kind of like when you again, when you have 4 survivors alive, it's very tough. Nurse can recover, but yeah, it looks like he couldn't really keep up that sort of initial pressure that he had when he started to recover, and then that's what happened. Right.
But it was death by 1,000 Marcos, and by 1,000 Marcos I mean 1 Marco. But the early game was tough. It took forever to find and down Marco, and by forever I mean 2 minutes. That's the Nurse standard we're looking at. Then had a really good mid game, like an exceptionally good mid game, and we were thinking, okay, I see the 4K2, 4K1, and then Marco came at the end, just to dash the dreams of Ariandel once more. Ratz, what do we think? Do we think that Ariandel have a hope in this, or do we think that they bow out with dignity and grace?
It's rough. 7 stages for Fresh. I mean, it is for Fresh, okay, but 7 stages. Xenos to get 8. It's difficult. Like, if you have a win con on Nurse and the win con is to 4K1, you gotta lock in. But if the win con is to 8 stages, you can just play super safe. It's like, sure, you can adjust your build, but you don't have to adjust your build. And and in a situation like this, he can play super safe and doesn't have to go for risky blinks. He can just walk people down, safety blink, walk them down, safety blink, right? And he can spend the necessary time to play and get the safety downs. It's really rough.
Yeah. And also, just as a reminder of like the standard that these teams are fighting for, it is a big deal. 4th place, $2,000. 3rd place, $2,500. 2nd place, $4,000. That is a minimum of a $1,500 increase that these teams are playing for. This is absolutely ridiculous, and we might be bowing out to Ariandel, but hopefully they can do it in style, or maybe bring something back. Andrew and Dyer, take it away.
This might be it, guys. We might be ready, setting up the grand final after this Nurse match. We've got Xeno loading in on the Nurse versus the survivors. I pick Hardwell, Bubbo, and Swatter of Ariandel. They got to lock in. Not getting 4K'd by a Nurse is already a challenge, and now they have not just that, they have a lot. They gotta get a lot of hooks out the door. A tie is fine, but again, even a tie is putting them in a bad position. But they gotta make sure at least they get the gen done and get people out the door. I'm nervous. I'm nervous for Ariandel. They were looking so dominant yesterday when they won the first of the best of 5s, and this is not necessarily the start we want. It took a lot longer for us to find our first chase, and we'll see how this goes. Dyer, can they do it?
Can they do it? Of course! We believe in them! Swatter, Hardwell, Bubbo, Ipic. You have to deliver here, guys. We believe in you. Because if there is a team that can show Elysium how difficulties look like, then it is Ariandel. They need to channel their energy, remember what they did yesterday, and then they need to pull this here. Hardwell going all the way into the corner here, but that was not a bad first chase. Yeah, it wasn't 2.5 minutes like in the previous trial, so a little bit of an advantage here. 105, that felt a lot longer than 105. Anyway, maybe it felt longer than 105 for the players as well, and they feel good now. They can channel that for the upcoming trial. I believe in them.
I think it felt longer because last time it took a while. We were looking around before we got in the chase. I think that the chase was good. We had a couple missed blinks last time from Fallen Art, running around that hill trying to catch Dwight. I forget who Dwight was at the time. Regardless, though, first hook coming in. Survivors do manage to get 1 generator done. There is 3 gens up near main building, which is not uncommon for this map, but oh no, we were going up there. Bubba was going up for the balanced landing play. Wasn't quite able to hit the ground running in time. Oh no, that was such a great crouch, but then Bubbo did not react fast enough to the second blink, and Bubbo goes down. And yeah, we're just playing friendly pubs today, guys. We're spreading around hooks, no tunnel out required. Honestly, if we see that, just like we saw last match, that might be the only chance Ariandel has if we don't get a tunnel out. So we'll see if they keep that up, or if we end up going back for Hardwell or Bubbo in a little bit.
And I feel like that is the only key, right? If you get an elimination here too early and you are losing a survivor, there's no way that you are pulling this. So spreading the hook stages and forcing the friendly competition with the Xeno is definitely needed. But there's a survivor around here. Nia is going to take the injury even with the sprint burst. Yeah, Xeno just reacting in 1.7 milliseconds, making sure that he gets the tag and coming back towards the basement here. No rescue just yet, but I don't feel like we can let Bubbo hang for the second stage there. We need to make sure that we are really getting them out of the basement, and whoever has the rescue task, we really need to make sure that they get entirely out of the basement area, right? There's not even the chance for a trade, really. You cannot be locked down there anymore. So having the reset here is important, but I don't think they make it now anymore.
They had to
the
leave
second
him.
Stage.
Yeah, no, but like given what was going on here, Swatter is cranking out one of the top gens. I thought he was on this gen here. Maybe I'm wrong. We had there was no way once the chase and the tag came in on iPick there, they had to reset. They had to get out of there. There was no way they were going to get down cleanly. Like you said, trade isn't worth it. At that point, you trade, you leave someone slugged in the basement, you chase down Bubbo, and you get another hook on him. So you just let them go to second, and you try and get some gen progress done. I kind of agree with the strategy. I don't know if it's going to pay off because I don't know if we have enough time. But as it stands right now, yeah, I think Xeno's pretty happy just camping out Bubbo, knowing that that's going to be 4 of the 8 hook stages that they need. Well, they do get the save, so that is a good start. Can you get out of here, though? Can Bubbo get safe? Pallet stun, auto nurse.
Whoa,
and we make distance.
Good, though. It looks good. Yeah, they are making distance. Let's go. Run towards the shack. Make it happen, Bubbo. Live the dream here. Break line of sight, and this one needs to hit here. This one needs to be a good one.
Huge dead hard!
He does get it off!
Huge dead hard!
Yeah, this is my Bubbo, and now he's down, unfortunately.
Still great. Got to the other end of the map.
And this is now what you can spread to your entire survivor team, right? Hitting that insane DH. This needs to rise the mood in the VC, and that needs to be the moment now where you get stronger and say, comeback time, baby! But Swatter, unfortunately, only with a quarter on the generator there at the moment. God, Andrew, this trial is killing it.
It's very, very close. It's so important. We made it all, okay, good stuff. We made it all the way down the other end of the map, and we should have died, and we hit that dead hard. We got to get, the 3 gen up the top side of the map is still there, I think, right? Or did we clear one? There's this middle gen, and there's the 3 up the other side, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. Oh, it's so close. I picked good jukes there, but not quite enough. Manages to go there. This is our Delhi survivor, so going down. Another pallet stun on the nurse! Can we make this window? I don't think we do. Yeah, okay. But iPick is Delhi. So this is not the worst situation. This will be our 5th hook, 3rd fresh. iPick does not need to be saved. One of the generators, Swatter's generator is about to pop. Oh my god, this is so close, Dyer.
This is really close. If this is flipping towards Elysium, I do feel like Ariandel can be really proud of themselves, but it is indeed not over yet. As you mentioned, 5 on 3, 7 on 4 was the previous result. So we could get 2 more stages on 1 survivor. That would be okay. And we can even pull that with 7 on 3, because that is better for our survivors than 7 on 4. iPick needs to leave the area. Has the sprint burst, trying to hold it as long as possible, but is eventually forced off. Hardwell back on the generator over here. 70% on that generator as well. So it is a back and forth just with a few percentage here. And as soon as we're leaving towards Hartwell, I pick now back on the generator down here. That being said, that's tricky now. Back onto iPick we go. Hartwell rotating on the other side. There's no room for mistakes here. Millimeters will decide who is staying stronger in the trial, and Zeno might, if he's overly playing this strategy of holding towards both direction, he might lose entirely. That is a huge risk that he's taking here. If you commit to one survivor, you can secure the down and get a few secured stages. It is so difficult. Like, of course, we understand Zeno wants to hold these generators down, but it might turn out to be the wrong decision.
This is crazy. This is almost like a 2v1. I'm like, where is Swatter? And the only thing I can think of, Swatter is at a gate. Because both of these generators have tons of progress. Hardwell's got hit with pop, so it was very close to being done after Swatter. So I'm like, we're doing a 3v1 with two of us. Why are we doing this? The reason we're doing this is Swatter is waiting by one of the exit gates, trying to get it now.
Oh!
But okay, hold on. If you get the Swatter's come in and had to support the generator. If you can get out the gate and iPick dies on hook, it's a tie. I'm sorry, it's not a tie. It's a win for Ariandel because it's only 3.
Yeah.
Swatter cannot get caught.
Yeah,
Swatter cannot get caught.
He is in chase though. He is in chase. Swatter is in chase. Zeno has the survivor. Did he lose him? No. He were going up the hill.
Here though. He's back here.
Where is Swatter? He lost him. That is Hartwell. And Hartwell is only one more stage, so Swatter can go, and Zeno starts playing Minecraft. +5 wood, but you need a survivor, buddy. Swatter rotated over. Swatter no longer be found. They are pulling the last second hide and seek here. And that is right now 6 stages, 3 fresh. That would even be the clean win for Zeno. Hartwell doing a fantastic job here, holding W towards the edge of the map once more. And if he's able to dodge one more time, that will be the out onto iPick and onto Swatter. It has to be, ladies and gentlemen. But we are running into the gate. We are running into the gate where we are at the moment.
Nancy's 2 hooks. The only person who can die is iPick. If iPick dies, Ariandel wins. If Nancy goes down, she's worth 2 hooks. So that would be 8 hooks. 8 hooks, 3 fresh. Swatter cannot die. Hardwell cannot die. iPick can take a hit for Hardwell. We're getting both gates open maybe here. Just one. Oh, we're going for a hatch play. Oh my god, this is so close.
Where is our Nancy is the question. There is iPick.
Okay, it's really hard.
iPick needs to die. They need to make sure that iPick somehow gets the hit tank, and they are moving out. They are here, and they are with a 3.
Let's go! Oh my god!
Escape! We continue, ladies and gentlemen. We continue this best of 5 because Ariandel coming back with 6 stages on 3 survivors. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the craziest trial that we have seen in such a long time. This is going into the archives.
Oh my god.
And I'm glad that we have analysts right now to take over for that, because I need a break.
Be right back fainting.
Ariandel taking time out. Take it away, guys.
Oh, analysts. Want to do some analysis on that one?
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna. Jesus Christ. I'm gonna start with you, Ratz. Do you have any thoughts? Is there anything? Are the little cogs in your brain whirring at that setup? That how 6 stages? You escaped with 6 stages. What the hell?
Such an emotional game. Oh wow. I mean, there's not really anything to add, is there? It's like, I mean, I can tell you right now, even though we are all muted, obviously, while the casters are sharing the game with you, in the match chat went absolutely crazy, and we have how many people are in the CC right now? We've got around 10 people here, and everybody went crazy, probably as much as you're gonna get in 10 minutes, because we're living in the future here, but oh, what a game.
Mhm. Yeah, wow.
I also,
okay.
I just want to point out, they knew exactly what they were doing there. If you look at the position here, to summarize it again, right? So we had, I can't get the survivor names anymore, but like we had one person dead, and then we had Nancy and who was the daddy? Was it was Nia, right? Yeah, Nancy and Nia.
Mhm.
And they were both hooked once. If Zeno was gonna get one of them and kill them, he was gonna be on 7 stages with 3 fresh, which would have been a loss by 1 fresh hook stage. Same stages, but you know the third winning condition is the fresh hook, so that's the reason why he would have lost if he had gotten 1 survivor. So what they did was, what the service did here on Ariandel is they kept Swatter hidden. He was not pressuring the gens, because if he was pressuring the gens with them, Zeno would have just committed to him, gotten himself another fresh hook, and even if they save in the end game, worst case is a tie, but realistically it's going to be lost because he's got 8 stages. Because Swatter's also 1 more extra stage. But so they kept Swatter hidden and kept pressuring the generators, and Zeno at one point, he had to commit, right? So he downed one of them, but he had to get another person, and he did not get that other person. And
I
wow.
don't know where Swatter went. Like at the very end game where like Swatter was in chase for a moment and the final gen had been done, he genuinely vanished. He actually just like used a spell. He used like an invisibility cloak or something and just ran away. I have no idea where he went. I have no idea how.
I know what it is. I know what it is.
This stealthing Bill, it's so like classic.
The
I know what it is.
stealthing build?
Bill, I mean the
Bill.
Bill, you know, the survivor.
You know Vecna, the legendary eye. He had
Yes.
that. That's what he had.
Right. I
It's
see.
just vanished.
It just went locked in.
Against
Just
the
appeared.
nose. Okay, wow. Ariandel are taking they're taking a timeout, and like, yeah, I would after that one. 2-1, Christ Almighty, and you're looking towards the future. The future, of course, being Demogorgon. Now, I wish there was some more game tape that we could discuss about this, but as I said, Demogorgon has only been played once in the entirety of the regular season. And that was not by either of these teams. So it goes back to what we were saying a while ago about how these teams do not have experience playing demo and officials. They do not have like they don't have the officials experience. They don't have any kind of game tape of versing each other. And also, interestingly enough, this isn't gonna be on. This is gonna be on the Wretched Shop as well. I'm gonna ask you, Ratz, Wretched Shop, is that gonna change up anything from demo? Wretched Shop isn't where demo is traditionally played. It's normally on ARP, if I'm correct, right?
I need to look at these maps. I'm not prepared for this.
That's okay. Yeah, no. So, Wretched Shop, because we don't want to play the same maps, and we already had Artist played on ARP earlier. Instead, we go to Demo's second map, which is the Wretched Shop, which everything that we generally discuss about Demo kind of revolves around protecting the 3-gen and the bottleneck. Wretched Shop, it's just kind of a big, expansive map, to be honest. It's not one that I really think... It's not one that I think is great for Demo, necessarily. Demo is quite good in 1v1s and in chase, but can't do a whole lot to actually close distance. A Wretched Shop is huge. These survivors can space themselves out till Kingdom Come. So, yeah, Ratz, did you have any thoughts about that? Or just about this set as a whole, to be honest?
Yeah. You stand actually corrected. Astro's resting place was the map that we had him on in the winter circuit. This first priority is actually Cold Tower 1, which we have covered with Nurse, so that's not happening.
Oh. Okay.
Priority 2 is Azra's resting place, which is also not happening because we've played Artist on that map. So the third priority, because I didn't actually believe that the second priority was Wretched Shop, the third priority for the Demogorgon is the Wretched Shop. And funnily enough, if he had seen Doctor now, before this, he would have been back on Cold Tower again if all his team had been taken off.
Full circle.
Yeah, no, we've got the Wretched Shop. It's a big map. We will hopefully see some portals, because otherwise you're not getting around the map whatsoever. We have seen in the winter circuit a lot of demo on the outsourcing place, and I think also like back in like the past tournaments for the last year. And usually what we have seen was try and get the chase, pop a generator with a portal, come back, and then get a chase down again, pop a generator, come back, tunnel. I don't know if that's gonna be realistic on the Ratchet shop, because like you're not gonna be holding a T-gen. I think it's way you can compare it to Doctor in that sense. It's gonna be chase orientated. It's gonna be out.
Yeah.
And the
Play for
question
the
is how many
1v1s.
stages. It's gonna be the question how many stages are you giving out, and it's gonna be a stages game.
Yeah. Especially because Demogorgon, like, we can't really look at the stats, to be perfectly honest. Only been played once, so we don't have game tape, and that was one team getting a 4K and the other not so much. But I do agree with you. I think the standard, especially seeing as we are on a map like Wretched Shop, it is a stages-based game instead of a kill-based game. So, of course, you're still going to want to probably prioritize your tunnel out, but that kind of depends on... I'm going to ask you this question, Zach, if you don't mind. So, obviously, generally the idea is get your tunnel out early, and then you can play for the kills after that. On a chase-oriented killer, are you better off like just playing for taking as many chases as possible, even if that means not necessarily prioritizing the tunnel out?
Yeah, I think for Azerov's, one thing that stands out to me is the top side of the map, because it's very dead zone, like it's very prone to dead zones, the top side. And so quite often with demo sets, I mean, we've seen it on a bunch of maps, like even family residence, where there are certain areas of the map that are dangerous to be kind of around. So it's going to be more sense of the survivors avoiding that sort of top side. Any other area of the map is, I honestly think, in the survivors kind of core for chasing. So we're going to be potentially seeing a lot of zoning. I think definitely taking chases and playing for stages is the right move, but you can be prone to suffering on demo on this map in some particular areas. It's a very zoned map. There are some where you get like decent tile spawns, and then there's this entire like arc of the map. If we're thinking top left from like a bird's eye view, where you can just have not really much to work with. So yeah, I think that if we're taking chase and shredding through resources, Wretched Shop. Did I mention ARP? My bad. Wretched Shop. No, yeah. There's like an arc on like sort of top left of Wretched Shop where there's a lot of like dead zones that are created. Really difficult place to chase for the survivors, and yeah, I'm curious to see where our gameplay is going to be focused on this map, because demo is definitely a killer that can shred through resources. It might even be like the case of a long game, but if we get a few chases that are going to be using some of the stronger tiles, we could see demo struggling, I think. So yeah, I'm not sure if that answers the question.
But... The thing is, macro and micro are always going to be important in any matchup, but I feel like when we're discussing Demogorgon, we're looking much more at a micro level. It's about chases. Similar to what Ratz was saying earlier about to succeed on Nurse, you click them in the head. Demo, you do kind of the same thing. Now, you don't obviously have the ability, like Nurse, to phase through reality itself, but we can see from things like the 1v1 ladder that there is a definite disparity in the level of a Demogorgon in those chases. Ariandel, they managed to pull out a win when nobody thought they would. And to be honest, about 20 minutes ago, nobody thought that they would have a hope in hell of winning this series. But seems like they like to challenge our dreams and our thoughts quite a lot. Is this where Elysium finally stop playing around and sink the knife in? Or can Ariandel continue their lease on life, get even more of a stay of execution, and bring themselves to a crucial 5th trial tiebreaker? Well, to break it all down for you, we're going to be throwing it over back to Direwolf and Andrew.
entirely forgot who's supposed to take intro here this trial because I'm still trying to calm my pulse and my heart rate from the previous trial. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Demogorgon on the Ratz shop. And yeah, in case you're wondering why we are still here, because Ariandel has gotten themselves the certificate for the biggest comeback ever in the history of DBDLeague. 2-1 for Elysium. Down by a set is Ariandel. They need to win this one, otherwise Elysium is straight into the grand final. But hopefully after this insane trial plus the timeout that Ariandel take, they can hopefully go for the full performance here.
This is an interesting set, Demogorgon. Like, we haven't seen a lot of it, but just in general, from being a competitive Dead by Daylight observer and occasional player, Demogorgon's not expected to 4K, but I feel like every single time I say that, we get a surprising 4K. So I don't know what's supposed to happen. Great shred by Xeno there. The first shred on Bubble there was fantastic too. It was a very, very short shred. And then that one, max range shred through the window. Will we get... Yeah, that first center is going to pop before we get the hook in. Nice perks here by Xeno. We've got the double up on the Scourge hooks. We've got Gift of Pain and Pain Res. That was not a Scourge hook, so I don't know whether that was a choice or bad Scourge hook RNG, but we did not get either of our Scourge hook effects onto Bubble there, but we are going to just teleport across the map. Take a chase on Excise, very quick, really, really clean and precise shreds here by Xeno. You love to see it. The unhook comes through, and we're just gonna start shredding some pallets.
Shredding some pallets into the edge map chase, but unfortunately Excise didn't visit the workshop of Spitz, so it is going to be a little bit of a quicker down here. And that also leads into the Scorchhook Pain Resonance. That's going to be a little bit of a setback on the generators there in the distance. 1 for 1 is definitely okay for the Demogorgon, I would say. Only losing one generator. We have seen worse in the past, and a relatively quick down with just above the 1 minute mark there as well. Swatter has a fairly high progressed generator in the distance. That will definitely go into the favor of Ariandel here, but I feel like whoever takes the next chase needs to make sure that they are staying on their feet a little bit longer, at least 1.5 minutes, I would say.
Yeah, these downs have been coming in really, really fast, and Xeno's kind of got the survivors on their heels a little bit. We do put down another portal, come back towards the main building, which is near where our hook is. We're kind of moving away from it now. By the way, I think now that after seeing where the Scourge hooks were, I think that, yeah, it was just purely I think we were trying to break the door there and missed it. But yeah, I think that the Scourge hooks were not really optimal for Bubbo's hook. We're going to come back. Oh, good swing through, and we hit Swatter. We're going to get the trade on Swatter. That was fantastic to avoid the iframe hit on X-Size's hook. We're going to leave Swatter slugged. I like this play. Let's get another hook on X-Size. A generator did just pop, so I think that Xeno's very aware, too, that, look, I might not get... Good.
Yo!
Check. Great crouch. I think that Swatter... sorry, I think that Xeno is aware. Oh, my goodness. I can't finish my thought. There's too much going on. We're gonna get into
is juicing. Unfortunately, it's coming to an end, but that was way longer than Xeno calculated when he decided, I'm gonna follow that survivor. So we have 3 generators completed now. We have a full heal onto Swatter, so that really worked in favor of Ariandel. That is basically a reset on the team plus 2 gens. It's like Christmas.
Yeah, that was wild. Like the choice there was, do I hook Swatter right away and take the pain res, or do I keep chasing down X-Size for the tunnel out? I still think chasing X-Size was the right idea, but you don't expect X-Size to have such great plays with one garbage edge map palette. But misses a short swing. Crouch techs I don't know, crouch tech, just crouched a shred, and I think we took like 3, 4, 5 swings before we got it down there on X-Size. So survivors are doing pretty well. We're sitting at 3 hooks. X-Size is dying on hook right now. It looks like Hardwell's probably the one cycling around to try and get the unhook. If we can get this unhook, even with a trade, I think we'll be putting ourselves in a good position. It's gonna the survivors are gonna get the generators done as the tunnel out comes in, and yeah, that's, I mean, at that point you don't want excise, you want fresh hooks, right? Oh, are we leaving him? Oh, we're leaving him. Okay, never mind.
Oh, that is a high trade, though. Yeah, that is a high trade. Exile's now going to rotate over, leaving some minus reps on the Steam profiles of the team members. But this needs to pay off. If you let a survivor die, that needs to be followed by an immediate, strong response. And it basically needs to be 2 generators, right? In case we do get another hook here, then we defend that, and the final generator not popping it. That cannot happen. We need both the generators completed. Chase is also moving towards the generator that we just finished, so that should work out. Babu should run this chase until the final generator is being completed. And I remember that Spotter was sitting on one. Yeah, they're 80% at the moment, so just a few more seconds and then we should be good to go, wasting some extra time with the locker here as well. And that is going to be generator number 5 being completed, ladies and gentlemen. The end game coming out for Ariandel. Babu, I think you can really sacrifice that survivor now. That would be 6 stages. A brilliant result for Demogorgon, so we can only hope that Xeno catching Swatter, we remember that from the Nurse trial, or Hartwell, also from the Nurse trial. So let's see if it works out this time.
Yeah, I mean, also we've only got 2 fresh hooks. I was saying I liked the build at the beginning of the match, but that was really dependent on, well, Swatter's not stealthing anymore. That was really dependent on getting hooks and getting pain reses and gifts of pain off. But we essentially got 0 gift of pain value, and we only got 1 pain res off there on Excise. Our first hook on Bubbo didn't even count. And here we go. Yeah, we're gonna down Bubbo again. Bubbo is not who we want. We want Swatter. Give us Swatter. We're taking the hook. Maybe we think that it's too late, or maybe we think we have time. Hardwell's 75% done that door. And we got Iron Will on the bill. Interesting. Holding my breath. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, potentially Xeno realized that Ariandel might pull another comeback here and get everyone basically out. So just taking the guaranteed stage. Because I can imagine that the end game that we have seen on the Nurse has left the mark a little bit, right? That you're now concerned something like this can happen again. So you at least want to get this +1 stage to make it a clean 6 on 2 survivors. Definitely, though, Ariandel will feel fine with this survivor result. Back to our analysts, guys. Let us know what you think about the trial.
We do not have a lot of game tape, but honestly, 6 stages from Ariandel. The fact they were able to escape with only 6 stages given, and only 2 fresh as well. That seems like a really good result. I'm going to ask you first, Zach. Yeah, like, always, what is our general expectation for Demogorgon that we might think looking back to maybe prior seasons? And then how does that stack up to what Ariandel have accomplished here?
Yeah, I think 7 or 8 is right around what maybe we should expect. 9 or 10, I think, is if we get like a good early game. But 6 is kind of on that fine line between like some mistakes happening, really. Because, I mean, 2 kills, essentially you've got 2 survivors. 1 maybe you catch out at the end. But really, like, when you're looking at how the game went, there really wasn't much happening for Xeno. And just this Ariandel side, survivor side, just being consistent as always. But yeah, I think that's definitely just below the line, I think, for me, for Demo.
Okay, just below the line, it seems. I'd have to agree with you. It seems that the 7 or 8 stage, and only 2 fresh as well. Obviously, yes, the fresh hook is the last tie-breaking condition, but we have seen matches and maps and sets be decided by that final fresh hook. For a killer who is able to do so well in chase but not effectively pressure the map, I'm actually kind of surprised only getting 2 fresh hooks. Ratz, I'm going to move it to you for my next question, which is, we've seen some shenanigans this series already, right? We've seen Ariandel beat the odds and escape in a seemingly impossible nurse set, and it looks like Elysium are going to have a very difficult time in this set as well. Is there a chance or an opportunity that Elysium actually end up winning this one and we end it on a 3-1?
Yeah, I wouldn't call them out. I think 6 stages 2 fresh is a really good result. Obviously, we have to give them credit for that. But there is a very fine line on those kind of conditions, because if you end up going for stages, you will end up with 1 or even 2 survivors that are death hook that can throw in their body at the end game, and you don't have a know it in your build to work with because it's banned, right? So if you get somebody killed in a tunnel out manner, and then you get more before they can open the gates, then you can reach your win condition. But if you don't get there and you play for stages, you can easily end up in the situation where you have 4 or 5 stages in the end game. Okay, let's say you have 4 stages in the end game, and then you have a death hook survivor that can just throw themselves, into the chase, and you can have like additional multiple hits that they can take to get the fresh hooks out the gate. So there's this very fine line where you have to get into endgame in a position where you can actually secure a fresh hook and secure that kill without them being able to save it.
As always, the most important part of any match is going to be the early game and the end game. That's the tale as old as time and the tale here. Ariandel, they're sitting very pretty right now. Let's see exactly how pretty they're going to be looking as they take their turn on the killer side. We're going to be throwing it over right back to Direwolf and Andrew.
Thank you, Egdar. This has just been a crazy day. This has been the swingiest matchup I have seen in a really long time. I don't know what really to think. I would say that 6 hooks 2 fresh is very, very beatable. I got to throw it back while we're loading in here. There might be a slight delay here on the load in. We might have had a lobby crash, so sit tight for 1 second here, folks. But Dire, that I gotta say, that chase on Excise after the swatter went down, that was the turning point for me. Like that was
Absolutely.
If that goes faster, that's a totally different game.
Absolutely, yeah. And this is the difficulty, right? A lot of people say very often, slugging, what an unfun tactic, what an unfun way to play the game. But I do think it was a perfect example that slugging is not just a strategy that guarantees anything. It is the same as if you hold down a tight region. Yeah, you might find that boring at the very beginning, but if you do not get the hook stages inside of the area to pair it up with pressure and to pair it up with progression of the hook stages, it does not really help you. And this really showed us slugging needs to be a really careful calculation between, do I actually get the slug as quick as I plan to get it? Because otherwise the survivors are rotating into the back, getting the heal, even an entire heal onto Swatter, and then it is tricky. So yeah, calculation was off a little bit there. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now back in after a short delay, but here we are, and I feel like the killer name is perfect here because Ariandel should basically say to themselves, don't worry, we got that.
We got DW here on the Xenomorph. Oopsies. On the Demogorgon. Look, they're all puppies to me. On the Demogorgon. The Demomorph, yeah. We're setting up some portals, looking for our first chase here. Doesn't seem like okay, I was gonna say Lamarco, I don't think we were spotted. Oh, we got the whole squad's here. A crow just flew over here, so yeah, we did in fact find one of our survivors, and it is gonna be Xeno. Xeno's, a little bit of a miscalculation there. Maybe didn't see the double back, and Xeno's gonna take a very quick M1. If we see a quick down here, this might fall apart before it even starts, and that is exactly what we see. Very, very quick down. Guys, I'm 2-tap. We're gonna see that come in, and there's a Scourge Hook right nearby too.
I really feel like throughout the 2 trials that we have seen now on the Demogorgon that this end game with the Nurse left its mark. Like, you can tell something has changed here with the dynamic of this best of 5. Ariandel looks a lot more confident again, and Elysium, it looks like something is holding them back. And when we entered this best of 5, everything looked so much like a 3-0 clean win going into the grand final, but it feels like we swapped the roles once more here. We can only hope that Elysium is now able to find the strength and consistency again throughout the trial here in order to make sure that it is going a little bit better here. The question is, who's coming over to rescue Xeno here? Do we potentially even see him going into second stage in exchange for these 3 generators that we are currently working on? Marco, Oscar, and Laser with good progress right there. Laser a little bit slower than the team members. Took a little bit longer there to get on an objective, but it might be worth consideration, right? 3 gens for a second stage and then taking hits when the Demogorgon wants to force the out on Xeno. I can see that as a possibility.
I do think it's worthwhile. Like, obviously the comms came in. We had a pretty tight proxy camp there on the hook. Look, we need to get some gen progress done. That down came in under a minute. Came in 59 seconds. Pretty short chase. Only a window vault. No pallets were thrown. Nothing like that. Let's get 3 generators for 2 hook states, and that's exactly what we got. The 3 gens pop. Xeno is able to get away. Had Lamarco there dropping a pallet for them, and they make it all the way back to Shack. And DW has to drop that. Now, this is very winnable for DW, but it's not won yet, and the survivors are definitely recovering. Laser is healing Xeno as we speak.
Yeah, they do have a plan how to balance this out, and this is really good because Elysium's recovery plans have also been strong in the past. We do not only have to give that to Ariandel, that they have the capability of coming back here. We can see Marco is not playing on a MacBook because he has Windows, so he does come with a good hardware into the trial here, and that's going to be the hit though, not making it around the corner in time, but we have 3 healthy survivors across the board, so if needed, they can all come in, and that's a little bit of a fumble now, not getting the pallet over there. That's some precious time being taken from the killer. Marco has also been shining multiple times today when needed and has been showing us that you can turn an entire trial with a strong chase. So huge shout out to Marco here.
I mean, honestly, after what happened in a couple of those matches, with the way that the nurse game started, and then again, good crouch there as we're speaking, knows we're talking about, and misses again. Generator pops. We're down to 1 generator, about half progress on it. Xeno comes in to tank a hit because Xeno's life is only worth 1 hook. Is this it? We're getting very, very close to endgame here. I'm like a little speechless.
Yeah, it does look really rough for DW. It feels like we do need to come back a little bit, just in the same way as we needed one on the nurse set earlier. But here are the 3 healthy survivors that we mentioned earlier across the board. A lot of resources now to take hits for one another. Marco going down here. Marco is a fresh hook, so that would be 5 if Marco dies. But we had 6 on 2 survivors. So Marco would need to die, and we need an extra survivor afterwards. Marco is not hooked yet as well. That takes a little bit too long. So either we do take a portal and then go for an absolute 2-tap, or Elysium is actually going into the Grand Seal. Yeah,
it is very close. I mean, like, we're in the same situation we were last time, except that Xeno's now healthy. They're gonna... Did we drop them? Okay.
Okay.
We need 2 hook states right now. We need 2 hook states. Sorry, no, we only need... Wait a minute. My brain isn't working. Right now we are at... No, we do. We're at 3 hook states right now. A 4th will not be enough. We need to get to 6 hook states with one more fresh. So Oscar would do, yeah, but they're gonna get out. They're gonna straight get out.
If Oscar dies, ladies and gentlemen, if Oscar dies, we have a tie, and if the survivors move successfully in,
Body
which
block.
they do right here, right now, then, ladies and gentlemen, we have the next grand finalist of Season 10 determined after another best of 5 being needed all the way into the tiebreak, and with fantastic comebacks here and there. It is Elysium coming out stronger after set number 14, trial 28 over the weekend between Ariandel and Elysium. Elysium versus Invictus in the grand final. Ariandel versus Nocron in the bronze match. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll give you a little bit of an extra information very soon, but first, we need to hand it over again to our analysts to tell us what went wrong in the Demogorgon set here.
Everything? Would that be a fair statement? More to the point, Marco. I think Marco is what went wrong there for DW. Yesterday, I feel like a lot of yesterday and in the last set, I feel like a lot of credit was given to Xeno. Right, but Marco has really stepped up today on the Survivor side. Is not only is like terrorizing on Nurse, even though Ariandel actually won that set, but is also terrorizing the poor Demogorgon. Like, what is that all about? And with that, Elysium have booked their tickets to the grand finals. They've easily bumped their prize pool up by another $1,500.